even though it's spelled Trevino.
Though it's spelled Trevino, it is Trevino.
Okay. Trevino got another save today to go with the save that he got yesterday. Am I filled with
Wait a
confidence?
minute, he got another save today?
Yes.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
So who's the fantasy expert between you and me? The guy who started Lou Trevino, or you who's starting Jose Barrios? Huh?
Obviously me, because the upside is all with Barrios.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, dear Lord. It's sort of a backhanded... I'm not a big Lou Trevino fan. But right now, hey, he's got 2 under his belt in back-to-back days. I think until the return of Danny Jimenez, he's going to get more opportunities.
Know why he's going to get more opportunities, Tim?
Because there's nobody else.
Well, I think he's going to get it over AJ Puck because they want to sell him at the deadline, and they want him to be good and have some saves under his belt and high leverage situation, blah, 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 and can't do that if you're giving it to AJ Puck. They're not moving AJ Puck.
No, they've got too much invested there.
Right.
You're right. But again, there's risk. We've seen what Trevino can and can't do. Right now, he's on a bit of a roll. If you're looking for saves in the interim, short term, yeah, give him a look.
caveat.
Oh yeah, I could list caveats till the cow jumped over the moon on that one. You got to mention them.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You know what I almost did looking at the closer report? We got down to the Reds, okay, at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost put, when I looked at the options for the second and third to Hunter Strickland, who I don't look like much anyways, I almost put who cares. I almost used the triple X, okay?
Yeah.
I just...
That would have been funny. I would have been W cares, W.cares. That would have been great.
Yeah, I was looking for, because it's a mess. It is really, really ugly. It really is. It's Cincinnati, and Hunter Strickland is not the answer.
Yeah, it's not.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to be. I'd rather have Lou Trevino than Hunter Strickland.
Yes, so, as would I.
Timmy's gotten a couple of saves here of late. So, I mean, tons of strikeouts.
Yeah, I thought about moving him up the list. He's been pitching much better lately. I want to see another week where he doesn't implode to the tune of 5 earned runs in a third of an inning before I bump him up a little bit. But what I did do this week with the closer report was I made even though the moves weren't there as far as changes in closers, whatever, I did change the ranking a fair bit and took. They took the Orioles, moved them up. Same with the Pirates. I took the Rays, pretty well left them the same, but I really downshifted on the White Sox and upshifted on the Red Sox, and just made some overall ranking adjustments that I think they're representative of what's going on. I moved Romano and Toronto down, and the Mets bullpen up, along the Braves and the Guardians. So, we didn't see a lot of wholesale change, but we did see some bullpens as a whole shift upwards and downwards in pretty dramatic fashion. So,
in watching the Yankees and Astros game, they announced that Chapman said that he had his another relief appearance down in Somerset, which is where I usually didn't go to the game today. He said, that's it. I'm ready to go, and I'm assuming he's going to be ready to go, if not tomorrow, very soon. And it's going to be a lot of fun, Timmy, to see how the Yankees handle that situation.
Well, now that he's announced his intention, maybe they'll handle it like Joey Gallo.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's a veteran. They got to have some respect for that, don't they?
I mean, yeah. Because he's on a veteran team, right? I mean, if they don't give him back the job, now if they give him back the job and he blows the first 2 games, then there's nothing anybody can say if Clay Holmes comes back in there. But it's going to be interesting, Timmy. This is where Aaron Boone and where managers make the big bucks. They've got to figure out how to make all this stuff work.
And when you're in first place and you've got a team that's playing very well, you don't need dissension in the clubhouse, do you?
Nope, you don't need. Yep, exactly, Timmy. But it's hard because Clay Holmes also deserves to be in that role.
Well, I'm sure he does. And at some point in time down the road, he arguably will be. I don't know if this is the right time. I think it's going to be. I think it could end up being almost a committee situation, with Chapman maybe getting a bit of the edge initially.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I think if Chapman stumbles at all, that gives the Yankees an easy out, doesn't it?
It does. But I don't think they have an easy out at the moment. I think that they have a tough situation.
Yeah, they do. And they've got a great bullpen. You know, you're taking Castro as the number 3. He becomes, your number 4. And assuming that, Chapman gets the job back, well, you got Holmes and King sitting there. That's a good bullpen. It really is. The Yankees have got
a good team.
Really good team. Yeah, they've got to be the favorite. I would say right now the favorite to be sitting looking at a World Series ring.
That lineup was always good, Timmy. It's the pitching that's taken a big step up, and I can't help but believe the losing of Gary Sanchez finally is what's made a big difference in that pitching staff. I mean, they got guys back there that are great defenders and call great games, and Gary Sanchez was none of that.
Well, yeah, I haven't heard any complaints about the catching this year in New York by any of the pitching. Have you heard any?
We haven't heard complaints. We've actually heard praises. So
yeah,
I mean, the pitchers have gone out of their way to compliment these guys, and we see it with the Astros. The Astros have really good pitchers, but they are not. I mean, no one heard of Framber Valdez and all the other guys that have come there. Everybody knows about Verlander. And it's Martin Maldonado who's done the great job with those guys, and catching matters, Timmy. Defensive catching matters.
Yeah, it does. I know from our game's perspective, we look at Martin Maldonado, and he's an afterthought. To the Houston Astros, he's a big thought.
It's a big part of that team.
Yeah, a huge part of that team, and they can afford to forego the offense to get what they get out of him on a day-to-day basis, working with that rotation. And you look at the Yankees,
same thing. They don't need.
It's a veteran crew, Garrett Cole, Montgomery's 30. Tyon's they're going on 31.
Montgomery's been really good, by the way. Can't buy a win. It's the Jacob deGrom scenario, but he's been very good this year.
Yeah, Luis Severino has he's looked like Luis Severino of old, which bodes well for the Yankees for a while. And even though he's regressed recently, Nestor Cortes, he's pitched very well. Yeah, it's a good team, deep bullpen, lots of offense. But
it's funny if you compare them to the Houston Astros, Timmy. It's another offense that can, long as they can put Joey Gallo in, they can handle a dead spot offensively, and both those hitters can hit a little bit, particularly Trevino can. They could do the same thing. They can have a defensive catcher in there that's helping make that pitching staff better, and they become the best team in Major League Baseball, and the Astros may be the second or third best team in Major League Baseball, and they're all following the same pattern.
Yeah, and you look at 4 or 5 in the Houston lineup. I sort of feel sorry sometimes for Kyle Tucker with hitting before Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah.
As Alvarez clears the bases and leaves Kyle Tucker looking at solo home runs for the rest of the season. Alvarez is an amazing player. He really is.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker's really good though, Timmy. Jeez, that guy is. I was always worried about the hitch. It's still there, but he still hits, man. And he's got power. He's got speed. He's a good defender. He's got all the tools. It's a good team, man. It's a good team.
Yeah, it is. And Jeremy Pena has stepped up with...
he was back today. We didn't talk about that. He came back today. So.
Yes, I'm going to have him active in a few lineups starting next week. By the way, did you see the home run that Ohtani hit last night? Did you catch the highlight of that?
All I know is it was 116 miles off the bat. 118. Jeez.
462. Gilbert threw the pitch, and as soon as he threw the pitch, and you heard the sound of the bat, Gilbert just sort of turned and dropped his arms. You could see the look. He knew it. Everybody knew it, and Ohtani gave it a good spy. But man, Ohtani is one amazing baseball player.
You know, his swing and Bryce Harper's swing, they're similar, man. It's both got that crazy torque in their swing that they lower that shoulder and they just explode off the ball, and it's amazing that the power that those guys have.
Yeah, it truly is. And I think we are really, really blessed to be watching and playing our game in an era where there are so many great young players. And Ohtani's at the top of the list. We haven't seen a pitcher hitter since Babe Ruth, and we're fortunate enough to
Did you see him play, Tim?
Yes, in my formative years.
Timmy, let's take our final break. Get back. Let's find out what Tim's having for dinner. Otherwise, Tim, we're gonna be here all night.
Yes, we will.
Starts to opine on on Ohtani. It can't be much longer. He starts to opine on, I don't know, some other Japanese player. Who's your other big love, Timmy, that's coming over soon from Japan?
Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitched in.
Is that three guys or one guy?
That's one guy with a very long first and last name.
Tell me that first name again.
Yoshinobu.
Wow, I've never heard that one before. Wow.
Yeah, no, he's having. Last year he pitched to, I believe it was a 1.49 ERA, and I think he's somewhere 1.35. He's in the same range this year. He won all the pitching awards. Wants to come to MLB. He's only 23 years old. Odds are good we'll see him not next year, but the year after. He's pushing hard for it. He wants to turn 25 first. There's a little bit of capitalist in him, right? Great pitcher, though. He pitched a no-hitter a week and a half ago, and he's ready now. Somebody's going to get a real good pitcher when he shows up.
I'm so glad you can't hear my sound effects, Timmy. I just played the 0.0 clip as you were going through.
Harsh
on the fine gentleman. It is encouraging that he's young. I will say that, because if anybody you tell me it's 27 years old, I'm just ignoring.
Yeah, and I understand. I don't concur, but I understand.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's like because if I go to Las Vegas, Timmy, you play the odds, right? You don't try to bet it all on red. Some people do, but you play the odds. The odds are that most of these Japanese guys that are not Ohtani, that are 22 years old and are somewhat uniformly thought of as being a stud, they just don't make it. They don't.
No. But again, when you get an Ichiro or an Ohtani, you can forget about a lot of those other players pretty quickly, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, Ichiro was another one of those guys. But again, he was another guy that people thought, well, this guy is clearly special, right? And the former Yankee that came over, Matsui, was...
Yeah, Hideki Matsui was a great...
I think everybody thought he was going to... But it was the other Matsui that came over at the same time.
Yeah, the Mets bought Kaz Matsui.
Yeah, Kaz Matsui. Well, yeah, that's the guy. Usually the guy that shows up from Japan. And I remember I was here, back when both Matsuis were here, and you would listen to talk radio back when that's what you did. And I mean, the Mets fans would just call in. I mean, I felt bad for Kaz Matsui, and he would just get crucified.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I think you got to play the numbers to some extent too. Yeah. Right? You take a look at go back to any year from 2010 to 2015 and look at the first round picks. Okay, on draft day, all those picks were going to be stars, right? How many of the first 35 players actually ended up being stars?
Okay, give me a year. Let's go back.
Okay, 2011.
Oh, that's a big year, Timmy. You sure you want to pick that year?
Yeah, sure. I'll go 2011.
Yeah, all right.
It's random. It's just random.
As I'm looking at that draft, what do you have for dinner?
Okay, well, you know what? Our good friend Greg Caresturi. Sorry, Greg. I might as well butcher your name. He commented on a post thanking us for our 1,000th episode, and he said, we've only heard about 10 different dinners for Tim. Okay,
that's true, Tim. You do repeat a lot of dinners.
Yeah, so what I did was on the post, I thanked everybody, and